Hello, my name's Tanya and this is my channel Just Let Me Sew. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you are really well wherever you are. Today I am going to be doing quite a big video sharing all of my latest makes. So it turns out I have made quite a few things recently that I haven't shared yet. So I'm going to catch you all up on what I've been making recently. And the first thing I want to share with you is my So Frugal make. Now I did share this over on my Instagram channel. And I shared a vlog about what I was planning to make for So Frugal, and I will try and link it somewhere up here so you can have a look at that if you're interested. So this is it just here. It's a self-drafted vest, and I used a couple of different tutorials to help me with that. So again, have a look at that video if you want to find out how I did that. So the fabric that I used was a lovely thin needle cord that a friend gave me from my sewing social that I organise over in Red Hill where I live. So thank you very much, Alison, for donating this, and she did mean it to be for my daughter, but I decided I would like to use a little bit of it as well. So lovely needle cord, and then the inside is a duvet cover that my mum didn't want anymore, asked if I would like it, so I decided to repurpose it for dressmaking purposes. And I actually only needed one pillowcase to make this, so I've got a whole king-size duvet left over and a pillow slip as well. And then on the inside I used some wadding that I had already, and I quilted this sort of, not a diamond, but like square quilting on it. Now for the scallops I made these myself, and I made myself a little template. For the wadding, I removed the seam allowance for the wadding, so I wouldn't have that extra bulk when I sewed it all together. So how I did it was the wadding was fusible, so I fused it to, I think, the needle cord, and then pinned it all together, the 3 layers, so the needle cord, the wadding, and the pillow slip, and then I quilted it all together. And I did that using a thick quilting ruler and a heat removable pen to mark my lines. I bound the armholes, and I bound the inside seams here, and the rest was just joined, sewn together. So right side to right side, flipped it through, and then finished off the exposed edges there. And I finished it off with a little label on the outside, which is a Rosy Cheeks label, and it says "Look for glimmers," which was lovely. I can't say this was the quickest make because I self-drafted it myself, and the quilting took quite a while to do as well, although very therapeutic, and it was my first time of doing proper quilting, and I can say I really enjoyed doing that, so very pleased with that. Nice little layer for the warmer months coming up. The next thing that I made, I have actually worn quite a few times so far, and I have worn it on one of my vlogs that I filmed recently, and I completely forgot to mention anything about it. And it is this long sleeve t-shirt, one of those patterns, I think it was Sew magazine, Sew Mag, I can't remember what it was called, but it's called the Bateau top, and I will include a picture of the pattern here. It is quite oversized actually, so for my measurements I think I made a 14, and I did have to take it in quite a lot. Now, thank you very much to the lovely viewers who suggested how I might go about binding, finishing off the neckline, because it is stretch and I didn't want to have exposed neckband that you would do normally. So a couple of very kind viewers mentioned that I could just get a normal piece of stretch jersey and finish it off like I would any normal binding, and that's what I did, and it has worked out really well. So thank you very much to the viewers that suggested I did that. It's worked out really well. There's not too much pulling at all, and it just looks really nice. I finished it off with a zigzag, very narrow width of the zigzag and a very long stitch, so you can barely see that that's a zigzag at all, and it gives lots of nice give. And I've put a label in it, a Rosy Cheeks one, little Rosy Cheeks. I made this and I love it. I really, really like it. I've worn it lots. It's great for work and it's great for casual as well. The fabric I got from Walthamstow Market earlier this year. They said it was a viscose stretch. I don't think it is viscose. It's definitely an Ottoman knit. So if you've never heard of Ottoman knit before, it has this kind of ribbed effect on it. And the most notable thing about it is it doesn't have that much stretch. So just watch out for it if you do like the look of this kind of fabric. The texture's good, but there really isn't that much stretch in it. So when it comes to like the sleeves, can't really push them up if you get hot. So either have wide enough sleeves or just know that you won't be able to pull them up much. But very pleased with that top. Next up is this blouse behind me, which is the Anna Allen Anthea blouse. And I made this up definitely as part of my latest approach to getting things made up, which I talked about in my latest vlog. Again, I'll try and link that up here, which is to use up some of the fabric that I have in my stash. So my latest vlog, I talked about how I pulled out lots of fabric that I've had for ages and I just want to get sewn up, and then pairing it with the patterns that I've had for ages and haven't used or want to use them again. And this was a lovely fabric that's Atelier Brunette. So it's very, very lovely fabric. If you've never used their fabrics before, the quality is amazing. I think it was quite expensive. I can't remember how much it was because I did buy it quite a few years ago. I think, it's hard to say if it's navy or black. Maybe a really, really, really dark navy. And it's got these lovely little flecks and these sort of, I guess they're meant to be leaves or seed heads, not quite sure. And it came together really well. I really like the Anthea blouse. It's very easy, straightforward. There is quite a bit of gathering, but I think once you've got the hang of gathering, it's not too difficult to do. It's just more time consuming than anything. The neck is finished with binding as well around there and also on the sleeves. I think it's Becky from What Beck Sews that does the cuffs with a little bit of elastic in there because she likes to pull them up, so that would be a nice idea as well if you didn't want them like hanging loose. So for the Anthea blouse, I make up a size 4. It is quite an oversized blouse, very comfortable. I make a couple of adjustments, so I lengthen it by 1 inch in the bodice because I find it comes up a little bit short and I like to be able to tuck blouses in. For this blouse, I also reduced some of the width in the sleeve. So the sleeve piece, when you get it, is huge and there is a lot of gathering in the shoulder. So I took 1 inch out of that, and all I did for that was in the centre of the sleeve, I just drew a line and folded it over to reduce 1 inch, just to take some of that volume out of it. And I really like the finished effect. It's lovely. I'll try and include some pictures of me wearing it. The buttons are just some shell buttons from eBay. These are like my standard go-to buttons that I like to use. Again, yeah, really pleased with that one. Next up, I just had to run upstairs to get it because I had forgotten this one. And this is probably the, if not one of the oldest fabrics that I have in my stash. And I got this years ago, I think from Truro Fabrics. And it's actually very similar fabric to a dress that I bought recently from Marks and Spencer's. It's this lovely pale blue with these black splodges on it. Really, really pretty. And it was one of those fabrics that I kept in my stash thinking it was just too precious to use because I loved it so much. But when I went to use it and work with it, it was a real nightmare to work with. It's a viscose crepe, which means that the weave is slightly looser. So it was quite hard to control. I had it hanging for a good 48 hours before I did the buttonholes and the hem. And you can see from here, look how that should all be level. So it really had a mind of its own, this fabric. So it just goes to show we hold on to these things thinking that they're far too special. Sometimes they're not. So Anyway, so this pattern is a Vogue vintage pattern, and it is, let me just check my notes, 1878. I've had this pattern for years and I've made up lots of different versions of it. I love it. It's just a really tried and tested pattern that I know fits me really well. I used to make this when I was still teaching, so I raised the neckline quite a bit so that I wouldn't get any sort of flashing moments when I had to lean over to talk to the students. And I think I can probably get away with just using the original neckline now because it is quite high. Again, I'll put pictures up of me wearing it. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have already seen this make. With vintage patterns, in terms of sizing, sometimes they sell them in, or sold them in, the one size. So this was sold as a size 10, which is a 32.5-inch bust, and it fits me fine. The only adjustment I've made is to make it longer, and in order to do that, I then had to extend it at the hips because it was meant to finish, I think, on your waist. So I just graded it out so that it could go over my hips as well. And it's just a short sleeve, nice eased in sleeve. I really like doing an eased in sleeve rather than gathering in the sleeve. I think it's much more satisfying when you have to, you know, halve the different fabrics and pin them together and sort of manipulate the fabric. I find that quite satisfying. Now, the next make I'm going to share with you is something that I'm hoping for a little bit of help with, and I have mentioned this on my vlog before, that I have been trying to make a bias cut skirt and I have brought it down with me to show you. And the issue I'm having is at the seams that this fabric is a polyester, so it won't press very well. And what I'm finding is if I just let that go, can you see how it's just folding in on itself, like it's sort of enveloping the seam? And there's a little bit of twisting going on there. And I can genuinely say I cut out the fabric, I really carefully folded it, took it over to my machine and sewed it up straight away. So there was no way that I could have been stretching out that fabric, stretching out the seams. So I just don't know why it's done that. Now, some people have given some helpful tips, and one particularly good one was sewing, first of all, using some double-sided wash-away tape, so Wonder Tape, to try and stick the seams together straight away. Someone else also suggested sewing with a zigzag stitch to try and allow that ease there as well. But if anyone knows why that is happening, it would be really helpful. So I haven't actually even finished this yet because it's just hanging on my wardrobe, you know, I'm not very happy with it. I don't want to finish it yet because it's in my bad books. I'm annoyed with it. So any tips would be wonderful. Thank you. And the final thing that I want to talk to you about is what I am wearing. And this is the Aspen Dress by Fabric Godmother. And this was on one of my plans that I wanted to get made up. The fabric I bought from Amo Threads, who are a lovely shop. I have shared them before. They are online dead stock fabric retailer, and I mean dead stock as in like the genuine sense of the word. So genuinely leftover fabrics from production. It's a denim, lightweight denim, and it's got these lovely stripes running through it, like magenta, pink and gold. Lovely fabric to work with. I would say it did fray quite a bit. Denim can be a little bit like that anyway, so not really much of a surprise that it did that. That was okay. The zip I just bought from Amazon. I had planned to use a white zip with gold teeth, but when I got it out, I realised it was actually quite a heavy zip, and it was probably going to affect how the collar sat. So I decided to just get myself a cheap normal zip off Amazon because I didn't have one. What else can I say about this? So I will include some pictures of me wearing it here. I went for a size 6. Bear with me, I'll just get my notes. So I went for a size 6, which is a bust measurement of 35.5 inches and a waist of 32.5 inches. That's the finished measurements, sorry. And I am very pleased with that. It definitely gives a more snug fit. I know some people have said that the fit was really quite oversized, so I went for the smaller measurements for that. The skirt. So again, some people had mentioned that the skirt panels just came up enormous, absolutely huge, and to reduce quite a bit of the bulk there. So I actually had quite a happy accident with the skirt. I had decided that I wanted to shorten the overall length of the skirt. So I did, but after having cut out the fabric, I realised that it was just going to be too short. And my original plan had been to have the stripes going vertically on the bodice, but going horizontally on the bottom. And you'll have seen from my photos that they're all vertical, because when I realised that the skirt was too short, I just flipped it. So the happy accident meant that actually my skirt panel was already quite reduced and I had the length that I wanted. So my final width of each panel, so front panel was 27 inches, back panel 27 inches. So that's a total width of 54 inches for the waist. And my waist is 30 inches. So that's still quite a lot of ease in there. The panel, if I'd cut it out correctly, should have actually been 37 inches each panel. So I did reduce it by 10 inches each panel, and I've still got gathering in there. I think it just gives more of a streamlined, not so voluminous finish, if that makes any sense. The sleeves, now it does tell you just to ease in the sleeves, so it hasn't got the gathered look. It's not got gathered sleeves basically, but it said to ease them in without doing a gathering stitch to help you with that. Now, either my fabric had stretched out a bit or it was too stiff, but I really struggled to ease it in without having that gathering stitch to help. So I did actually include 2 rows of gathering stitch just to help me ease it in. I haven't got any gathering in there at all, but that's just a suggestion that if you are finding it hard to ease in the sleeve, just add in some gathers. You want to distribute the gathers, but you will still get that eased in look as well. I decided to turn up my sleeve cuffs just to give a nice little finished detail there. I like the contrast of the dark with the light there. And the other thing I would say is the collar is absolutely fine. So if you've heard anything about the pattern, you might know it's got this sort of crescent shaped collar stand that goes at the back. And I was a bit worried about doing that. It was absolutely fine, not a problem to do. I wouldn't worry about it at all. Just watch out for the seam allowances, because it does go down to a 3/8 seam allowance. If not for the whole collar, definitely for that collar stand piece there. So perhaps just highlight on your pattern where it does change seam allowance so you don't get caught out on that. But overall, I love this dress. I haven't had much opportunity to wear it just yet because the weather, it was lovely last week and now it's gone back to being a bit cold and blustery and rainy. But again, I'll put pictures of me wearing it. Here it is there. In one of the pictures I do try and show that there is a good amount of ease there. So that's my body there. You can see even on the smaller size, it is quite comfortable and generous. And the pockets, brilliant pockets. Really well positioned, really comfortable, nice and big. You can really get your hands in those pockets and store lots of things in there, which is always useful. Now, I was going to share in this video as well some recent purchases that I have made, including some time that we had down in the New Forest. I shared on my Instagram stories that I came across a charity craft shop, which was brilliant. It had all sorts of bits in there, and another lovely fabric shop. But I think if I share all of those purchases now, I'm probably going to have quite a long video. So I will come back soon and talk about what I've been buying lately as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found it interesting to hear what I've been making. I'd love to know what you've been making lately, if this nice change in season is inspiring you to get making anything. And I hope to see you again soon. Take care. Bye.